think that COVID-19 has, as much as it can be seen as something very negative, it has caused a positive impact to a lot of people's lives, or it was time that was used wisely for a lot, that they found love and a passion, maybe found love. There's a lot of things that happen around this time that, maybe some people were vulnerable, but then some people were smart about who they decide to shack up with during the time. It either made them closer or it made them further, drift further apart.
Absolutely. I think it was a time when everyone, you had to decide and you had to pick and choose who you were going to spend your time with. Time became, I think, magnified on how precious it was because we were so uncertain about everything. We were scared.
Yeah.
It's kind of like living for that moment to be like, well, what's going to happen next? Am I going to have a job? Is my loved one going to get sick? Is my loved one going to make it? How do I plan a funeral around a time when you can't be around people? It was really, really chaotic as far as events.
Yeah.
That was incredibly chaotic. But like you were saying, I think that it was really good for a lot of people that were able to survive it and come out better because, we spent all that time self-reflecting indoors. You kind of, get back into the things that you really cared about.
Yeah.
When you were a kid. I felt like I was living like I always wanted to when I was 8 years old during quarantine.
I completely agree with you. I can say this has been like a time where I've felt the most freest. I really do. And regardless of, the current, let's just say the climate of the nation, besides that part, let's just think of like us as individuals in our homes and having to comply with these certain rules and regulations that, of course, like it's for our safety. But like having this time to myself, this podcast wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? The music that I'm making at this point and me falling in love with it again, those songs wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this time to reflect and you know what I mean? Be to myself and deal with these things.
Yeah. When you take events out, for example, because, my life for the past 5 years, and really 10 has really been possible through all the things that were banned during COVID, which was concerts, bars, parties, events, things like that. And so like when there's none of that there, it's like, well, what else would I be doing? And you just tap in. And man, I will tell you what, I am so thankful for that.
100%. I feel the same way. I talk about it all the time. Like gratitude, you should never ignore it because gratitude is a choice. So like a lot of us receive a lot of greatness from the universe and what's going on, but a lot of us don't show that gratitude. And I feel like when you don't pay that gratitude, eventually when you lose all this, you I don't know, like you don't work as if tomorrow won't be here. A lot of people just think like for the moment they have the spotlight on them, they're shining, not paying their gratitude, not realizing this can end any moment.
Absolutely.
And they just quit, they give up, or they take their foot off the gas. I don't want to do that.
No, I think this has been incredibly important for gratitude because it's like, you rely and you take so many things for granted, like being at an event or knowing that I'm going to go to this party and I'm going to see XYZ, blah, blah, blah person. So I really don't need to talk to them. I can just see them at these shows.
Yeah.
It was like show homies. And like throughout quarantine, it was really funny. Towards like the middle of it, I was communicating more with like Dallas creatives more than I was before. Like, like I was saying, like seeing them at events and shows and stuff like that. And it really, like this community was refostering again.
Yeah.
Like people were taking others' crafts and talents and offerings like really seriously. It was like, I need to give you these flowers, so let's work together. Or hey, here's a compliment. Like, or hey, you want to just hop on the phone and talk, or do a little live broadcast. Like, it oddly enough, in the time when we were all separated, we were all kind of brought a lot closer together.
I agree.
Gratitude.
I definitely agree. And I think it's probably one of those things that, how they say like you're in a relationship and it's like if you are together all the time, sometimes like time away it's more healthier for you guys. It's only because you savor the moments y'all have when y'all
Absolutely.
together.
I think one of the patterns I see in like toxic relationships is that there's this clinginess and feeling of needing to be there all the time. And like whenever, you have people that are too codependent to the point where they won't say anything, like they know that being around this person pisses me off. It would probably do me better to be away from them. But because I feel obligated to be with them, I am going to sit around and be pissed off about it and now foster this like mega toxic like relationship. And where like now I really like the dynamic that I have now where I have set days that I spend with my significant other. Mm-hmm. And those are so much more important because I'm like, well, I have to savor these 2-3 days out of the week because I'm going to go without for a little bit, which is good. But,
yes.
Of course I'm going to miss them, but it makes you more appreciative of the moment. So
it builds strength in y'all's bond. And not only that, like the very important thing is the dependency. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people, we all tend to do that. It's a human trait too. As independent as anybody can act, sometimes we become dependent even on having others around for our mood or for, like, I don't know, just our happiness in general. Like you probably have a great time with your significant other. And then when you're away, when those moments you're pissed off, you want to call them and think that they're going to fix everything.
They're not.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not. Sometimes I just need to eat and I need to smoke.
Exactly.
And he's beautiful, but he don't look like a joint to me, sir. I mean, but you're like, no, absolutely. And I think that you have to exist individually. I think a successful relationship is existing individually and coming together and being your best together,
yes.
Working off those strengths and weaknesses and differences.
It took me 30 years to learn that shit. But I'm saying I know that now. Yeah. And I don't think like the next relationship I get in, I'm no longer going to treat it because most of the time in the relationships I was in before, I almost like separated myself from everyone. It was weird. It was like we always like, it was like us and everyone else. And then now
That's
it's more
dangerous.
like, it is. It really is. And I don't know why that happened.
Well, I don't know. I can't speak on the nature of your relationship. I don't know, but sometimes that creates a little bit of that isolation you feel. I'll ask you this. Was it a good time if you had to rate it 1 to 10? I
wouldn't say it was toxic, but I would say that it was just kind of two individuals going through the motions, like in love with the idea of being in love. Mm-hmm. But it's not like we were toxic individuals. It was just more like we're passing time because maybe when we got together, we're too consumed on comparing each other to our past life, which was worse. So it's kind of like, oh, we're great on paper for each other. On paper we look great, but are we for each other? We don't speak the same love language. And so that was the big one,
I love me some love languages.
Yeah.
We can go down this wormhole. I love it. I love it. No, I love it's oh my God, I am so terrible. Like if you're an engineer, this will be one of the worst conversations because I love to romanticize and get theoretical and start analyzing the most
go for it.
The softest shit and the most abstract shit like this. I love it. So love language, fucking crucial.
Yeah.
Crucial. I am one of those girls. I am not going to ask you what your zodiac sign is because, I mean, to be honest, I really don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't care.
I don't get caught up in that shit way too much. Like, some people do, though. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my God, you're a Cancer? Get away from me.
Right.
People do that to me. I am a Cancer. But that happens to me a lot. So
it's all subject. I'm not going to get into that. Well, that's another topic.
Of course.
We'll get into that. But I won't ask you about your zodiac sign because I don't know. I don't know what that has to do with too much. But what has to do with a lot is what's your love language? If I'm feeling kind of frisky, I might ask, what's your Myers-Briggs indicator? What's that one? It starts as an E. Enneagram test. I'm
no
probably
idea.
Butchering it.
I go for 16 personalities. Did you ever do that? Mm-hmm. That one's the only one that got me to a T. Like
which test did you take?
It's the 16 personalities one. Like it's 16personalities.com, but you pretty much answer like a series of questions.
Oh, okay. So that's the Briggs-Myers test that I was
might be the
talking
same
about.
thing.
So it's those four consonants or four letters that make that acronym.
Maybe. I just know I'm an advocate. I don't know if it's the same thing.
Perfect. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same thing. So
I'm rare.
I love those tests. I love those because, like, look, people don't want to be categorized. I get that, but I think in nature, in everything's a series of patterns. Yeah. So human behavior, sure, it's like, oh, well, that doesn't really apply to me. Yeah, because this isn't made specifically with you in mind, but it's made with, individuals like you in mind, and it's like, we're able to categorize people a little bit because we see these patterns and it's like, oh, okay, maybe that is me. Yeah.
Yes.
A couple things that have a lot to do with that too is your social background, but also your relationship with your parents, with your mom.
Oh yeah.
That is like a big source of where a lot of people's attachment to others and their style and their way of being with them is determined in those first 3 years.
I can definitely see that. I can see that. I think for myself, my relationship with my mother, I seen how it can correlate to how I treat women. Like when I grew up around a bunch of women, like I have 2 older sisters and my mom. So like I was a mama's boy. But not only that, like I check on her and she's sick, and I'm just like that. I'm empathetic. I have a big heart. So in my relationships, some women do analyze that or value that.
Absolutely.
I can see that. But then some don't want to hear about that. Sometimes they want to. I guess like it's just kind of like a trait where it looks like you're soft. That happens sometimes too.
Ooh.
Right. I feel you.
It's not a problem to love your mom, and it's a fair question. I think. When my mom, mom's advice to me, one of her fabulous gems was, watch how a guy treats his mom because that's how he's going to treat you.
Yeah.
And so, sure that it didn't make sense at the time until I really started looking at the scientific reasoning for that and the psychological reasons for that. And it's like, oh, that actually makes sense because I can say that the best relationships I had have been with people that have a really good bond with their mom, and an ambivalent relationship with one's parents has never been a very good one.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I never really thought of that, but I can see that. Because anything that I do myself because I have a daughter too. So like one, she's always on my mind when I do certain things. I get in a relationship, I think of her. But even like how I treat the woman that I'm dating per se, I always like every value that I have, it always was like anything that I do, I know it was instilled by my mother. Like getting off at the gas station. And it's just something simple like, you want something? Or,
yes. I was going to say, you asking me if I wanted something from 7-Eleven, I was like, that is nice.
Yeah.
That's mom right there.
Yeah, that's my mother 100%. Because my mom would just be like I had a father that didn't ask my mom what she wanted. Like my mom would always tell me, don't ever do that to a woman. Don't like always ask people. If you show up to someone's house, don't show up with like food in your hand and eating. Like you should ask people, do they want some? Or before you get there, see, that's the kind of stuff my mom is. Like she taught me. Kindness.
That's your compassion, empathy. These things aren't soft, they're necessary.
Exactly. And see that's a big one. You use the word soft, but see, like I've run into people where they can find that a weak characteristic, and it's just nuts to me because I'm like, how is being kind weak? Like, you don't know how happy you could be with an individual who's just kind-hearted or some. And I'm not even trying to act like I'm the kindest person. I got my my sour side. We
all have it. It's fair.
But at the same time, like you can't take my kindness for weakness.
Yeah.
And it happens.
What? Sometimes in kindness can even, be a strength. And I know that sounds rudimentary and dumb, but I've, instead of reacting the way that I wanted to react sometimes in terrible situations, I've been extraordinarily nice and people feel so bad. Like, from that, rather than me insulting them and going directly, for the jugular, it's like more fun for me to just let me be nice, because you're going to feel really stupid.
It exposes like how much of a piece of shit they actually are. I think they realize it, like, wow, like, I can't believe I treated them that way.
Yeah.
No, I do the same thing. Because at this point in my life, I can't waste time overreacting over shit or causing problems in public. At this point, it's like, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to argue with you. Let me just be polite and be like, you know what? I understand.
Oh my God, that sounds toxic. You sound like you got PTSD, sir.
I've had it. I think we all have. I think it's a rite of passage to go through, for some, like a couple, and that's fine, or that their whole life, or one good, like, shitty relationship that exposes the dark recesses of what's supposed to be loving and beautiful into, like, oh wow, like, people can be evil. Like, I think you're the devil, like, type shit. Yeah.
Is that extreme?
You look right at me. No, I'm just kidding.
You're the devil.
No, it's not. It's not. I know for sure, and it's weird because it's kind of resurfaced recently. Like, I have traumas from past relationships.
Absolutely, yeah.
But see, I have a friend that deals with this right now. She's currently going through this, and hers are still fresh. And I'm telling her, look, my relationship was like over 5 years ago. It was probably like 7, 8 years ago. But like, from that relationship to this day, I'm affected. But it doesn't have to be a scary thing. No, because that turned into a strength. Because I'll never forget it, to the point that, like, when I decide to be with somebody else or choose somebody else, I'm not going to run into the same mistake, first of all. But secondly, like, it's strengthened, like, my tolerance and my heart. Like, I can deal with so much, but when I get these warning signs, I already know to just get the fuck out. You know?
You don't deny the flags. You start that. You listen to the red flags.
Oh yeah.
Instead of, like, before, where you're like, oh, that's a little weird, but I'm gonna go ahead and roll with it. I guess that's how she is, or he is. Okay.
Oh, that's the worst.
Whatever. And it's like, after a while, it snowballs, and you're like, oh my God, this person is terrible. Like, they're awful, but I can't leave because I'm so invested in this cycle of toxicity.
Look, if you don't have no kids, I don't understand why people say they can't leave. Like what do y'all, like, have a Spotify account together? Like, I don't understand what keeps y'all together.
The HBO Max account. This is good shit. I'm not giving that up.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, having a kid is one thing. Like the one I'm talking about, they share a child.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's different. But, like, you have nothing else, and let's just say y'all just split rent at an apartment. Bro, get the fuck out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why y'all, like, holding this up right now?
This is why you save for a rainy day, because sometimes that rainy day is taking over the other half of the rent,
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
It is.
No, but those traumas, man, like, they'll creep up on you. Especially when you don't think, like, you have any. But then when you run into somebody that almost feels right or makes you feel a certain way, and then, like, maybe a flag pops up, and you're like, why the fuck am I triggered right now? Like, triggers happen. Yeah. Triggers are real.
No, there absolutely is post-relationship PTSD. There's also kind of that wounded puppy mentality you have to shake off. At least for me, I think, and this is a problem for women too.
You looked at Adrian when you said wounded puppy. That's hilarious.
It's so sad.
Anyway.
Because he's got a wet nose.
Oh, dude, if I had a wet nose.
That'd be a good day for you.
I wouldn't pet you.
Why not?
No, but sorry.
No,
see what I do sometimes? I'm sorry.
No, I love it. No, this is great. I've talked to other women too, and I feel like this is a definitely a more geared towards women, or maybe, whoever, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's that whole, like, how men are supposed to be chivalrous and be nice, and it's like right after that, you're texting your friends, and it's like, yeah, he, like, opened the door for me, and it was so nice, and she's like, why are you telling me this? Like, this is something that people do.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be normal.
Yeah, and it's like you were so far removed from that you're like thanking them for like the smallest thing that's
Right.
like, yeah, dude, I just did this. You know what I mean? But it takes a while to shake that off because it's like you like I was saying earlier, you get caught in this cycle of toxicity, and you're so cool with it that becomes your reality and what you're so used to that someone being nice is just like this is so out of the ordinary, and it's
Oh
like
my God.
that should be the ordinary,
Yes.
the standard.
No, you're right.
Bare minimum.
You're
you
right.
know?
That's what I said about my previous relationship was that like I was too busy, or we were both caught up comparing like to the previous relationship that we looked amazing on paper and we looked like good people, but it didn't mean we were good for each other because we're always like, oh, I'm finally not fighting. I'm finally not fighting over this, or like I'm finally not being cheated on, or you get what I'm saying? Like, so that you're right. Like some good deeds seem like they were like amazing when it's like some people just have that instilled in them. Some people have them good attributes, or
there are good people in the world. Damn it! Like you can't let one person ruin it for you. You let that one person show you that there's a 50-50 chance that you'll probably run into someone like that.
Ooh,
but it makes you appreciate when you find someone good. You're just like, whether it's a friend or a romantic partner, it's just like, okay, you're in my circle, you're in my life now. Like, I gotta have you because you are one in a million, because I know that you got my back. You're a good person, and good people are hard to come by, but they exist.
Yeah.
They're not gone.
But let's all like be honest, like how crazy we can look at the minute that relationship is over. Like I'm talking about like what's going on psychologically,
Yeah.
or like the kind of shit we do to pass time, or the kind of shit that we do to, you know what I mean? Like I'm saying we're so not like ourselves. I don't ever want to go back to those points.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So like you look back on it and you're like, who was that person?
yeah.
That was
What is that though? Like why do we do that? Whoa. I always wonder that. Sometimes I'm like, how the fuck did I become that at that moment over heartbreak, or the fact that the someone that I saw every day is not there no more?
Well, I think that's healing and learning a lesson. I think that's learning. And I think that comes with self-reflection. And it just shows if you're able to self-reflect, you can kind of see, okay, this is where I went wrong. Well, damn, I know what that did to me. Maybe it's best I probably don't do that. Some people don't reflect and just make the same mistakes over and over again.
Yeah, but see, like we do that, and then some of us go right back. Like you said, we go right back to the same situation. I always wondered, like, what draws somebody that way to not rationalize long enough, or like
pride. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to admit that they're wrong, or that they're their ego gets in the way of them learning something. That's a problem. That's an issue. People aren't always as open-minded as they think they are. Sometimes being open-minded is like being able to reflect and look onto yourself and be a little bit more humble.
Okay.
Be teachable. And I think some people are and some people aren't, because they believe it's their way and they know. And so if they think they know, then all right, keep doing what you're doing, I guess.
The love is complicated. Like love is so complicated that like people write books on it, people write songs about it. Like it's the most talked about thing in music, because with love there's pain, and then there's happiness and joy. It's just it's wild to me that like that can literally break a person. Like you get what I mean?
Yeah, some people have different aspirations, and I think you have romantic people that are that's their that's what leads them in life, is how they feel when they're in love, how they, react when they're in love. Some other people are, a little more business centric. Those are their, kind of deals. It's you have different people that are into different things for whatever reason. I definitely consider myself a romantic, because I think it just goes hand in hand with being creative.
Right.
I love feeling, and I love emotion, and I love all that. Like that what makes life fun. And for the most part, love is one of them. But I think in the end, I think that all kind of coalesce together into what makes life fun, which is love, which is pain, which is,
Yeah.
The good and the bad, because it's fun. Because I'd rather be doing this up here than not at all, above ground. And,
I agree.
It's fun.
Agree. Love can fuel, and not just for the romance and relationship part, but I'm just talking about like love in general, like loving your career, loving your passion, loving your friends, so like for yourself in the field that you're in, and since I've known you, which, we haven't seen each other in a while.
We haven't. Yeah, no, you were the first person. I was going to say I wanted to thank you because you were the first person that had me on a podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you were the first one.
Oh, awesome.
So now we're back. And
yeah, I heard you were going to cancel someone on this one. That's what you said on Twitter.
Yeah. I don't know. Whichever one of my haters wants to get canceled. I mean, I don't know if I have haters. I'm unaware. If you hate me, I have no idea. I really don't. Because I don't think about it at all. So
it's such an odd time for canceling people. No, but I was going to say
the field that I'm in. Right?
Yes, like I knew since when I met you, that was the right fit for you because of your personality. Like, there had to be an early love for it. Like, I don't think that's something you accidentally get into. I think that's something that, like, you call for it and it calls for you, but that's like your thing. Like, that's something that's always been in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, right. I think communication in general has been my favorite, but just illustrating and writing and just expressing and informing people is like really fun for me because I love to talk. Like I will not shut up. I always have something to say about everything. And, I think when you are honest with yourself, what you want and what what's the best fit for you will find you or you'll find it.
Yes.
So if that's what they say. You can teach anything, but you can't teach passion. Like that's hard. Yeah. So if you don't have passion, you don't have anything to really kind of hold on to and gravitate to. And so I don't know. I just, I feel really fortunate to be able to say that, my passion, is my life and my life's work. And it's really, it's fantastic.
That's amazing to hear. I mean, not a lot of people get to say that. That's the thing. Like, I talk about this a lot on my podcast. And one is like, because I talk to a lot of creatives and people that like, it's not like something I choose to do. Or it's like, I only want creative people. But I feel like I relate more or like I connect more with people like that. But I'm saying like, not a lot of people have that opportunity to say that like they do something they love. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad that that's a reality, but it just is. Like a lot of people do settle for 9-to-5s. Mm-hmm. Some people are okay with it because they feel like they're not good at things. And I'm not okay with that because I always feel like everybody has their niche. Like everybody's
right.
There's something you love. There's something you can turn into a career.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you haven't found it yet. Maybe you find it at 50. I don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's at its own pace. It's been, like I said, I feel fortunate to say that, but even when I wasn't writing and I wasn't, doing what I'm doing now, I worked for 5 years in the in the bar scene,
Yeah.
And even that I loved my job then because I loved people and I loved connecting.
Yes.
So maybe you're not doing exactly what you dream of doing, but if you're, you can still find that in whatever it is that you are doing.
I believe that too.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that too. I had a friend that like really cared about humans, like a humanitarian, somebody that wanted to see the world prosper.
Right.
But the field that she decided to pursue was dentistry. And you can still find that love there because creating a beautiful smile can change someone's life. Like
Absolutely.
So like you got to always like think about like whatever career you're choosing, or maybe like let's say you felt like you settled. You can find love in what you do. And if you don't, then you shouldn't even be working there. Like that's just how I feel. Like if you're going to be a custodian, be the best one.
Yeah.
If you're going to, whatever you choose to do, like you got to be the best one, and you got to find something you love about that field. Like if you clean someone's office and they marvel at how amazing you did, I just feel like you should feel some pride in your work.
It doesn't matter what you do. You should be proud. Either just do a good job every day and have a little bit of pride and try your best, and that it'll make anything fun.
Yeah. No.
I just want that. Really, my goal is to always have fun. Like that really is like, I can say that I'm, a creative and I do this and I do that. Yes. But ultimately I love to have fun in everything, whether it's if I'm in an office bored, I want to have some fun. I think that's why I loved the bar scene, and it just made sense, is because it's a fun job. You talk to people, you make people laugh. You people are having a good time. Everyone's loose. It's just it's free and it's fun. Same thing, like that's kind of how I feel about the internet, and why I've made use of the internet as a real virtual reality world that is mine, and it's free and it's fun, and I don't know. You should always have fun.
Yeah, it's the reason I ain't left Facebook yet. Only because I hear a bunch of old people arguing and shit.
It's entertaining. It's entertainment. I'll give it that. But oh man, I don't even want to go into tech talk because man,
go for it.
Oh, dude, I love.
You love TikTok or you don't?
Oh no, tech.
Oh, tech talk.
Oh,
tech talk. I think you said TikTok.
I think I've used TikTok a few times, but it overwhelms me. I think the interface is like too much. I'm like scrolling and I'm like, there's just a lot going on at once. But I will say I'm a big fan of like really super obscure, but very like normal, like very like random hashtag type TikToks. There's nothing.
I'm with that.
There's nothing particularly like, it's not fun. It's not flashy. It's like a dude with like crooked teeth in Alabama yelling at a camera. Like, I love that shit.
It's just, that's the thing. We're in the age of algorithms. So like, once you start watching what you watch, the internet knows what you like. They're like, look, bitch, like, here goes another video you're gonna like. Here goes another video. Like, that's exactly what happens. Like everybody's internet's different. That's what's crazy to me. Is like your phone, what it shows you and tells you is way different than what mine tells me.
Oh my God, yes.
Ain't that a little fucking strange? Like to think about like our internet is catered to us.
Man, sorry, that was just a lot to take in because I'm like, damn, you're right. I've never thought about it like that.
You're
like, oh man, algorithms, dude. Okay, algorithms. Let's talk about that. Algorithms are, I think, in their conception, I think they had somewhat of a good idea about it. I think they were like, oh, this is going to help us be able to pull content and help people shop and all this stuff. And it's like, well, it's like data gone wild.
Yeah.
It's like the extreme point of bridging human interests with numbers, seeing how those interact and what kind of like reality you create for people.
Yeah.
You create these echo chambers where people constantly feel like they're right all the time. And I think algorithms, because they can be so extreme and so powerful, they breed very, very extremist people, which is terrifying a little bit.
Well, we've crossed the bridge of basically programming through tech to actually programming humans. Like that's exactly what happened.
The Neuralink.
Well, I'm not. We can go there, but I'm just saying, like literally, like you're right. Like we're breeding new humans, and it's based off what social media says. Like that's what it is.
And what's crazy is that the tech world is surprisingly small enough to where the small percentage of people are really controlling the entire world and managing it. And I know it sounds conspiracy theorist. I know it sounds New World Order-ish.
I'm with it. Go for it.
It's really not far from the truth. I think, there are certain people that are malicious and understand algorithms, and just like, some people want to watch the world burn, and you're able to do that behind a screen now. You don't have to be a terrorist on land. You're a terrorist through tech, and you can create some really dangerous weaponry, which is radicalized people.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to think. I want to be optimistic and believe like most people are good people. But of course, you're gonna have people that just want chaos. It just is what it is. But like when you turn, let's just say like a social media platform, when it becomes one thing, as far as like connecting people, you got to always think about the back end. Like for, let's say the creator to make some money, you're gonna have to tap into ads. You're going to have to comply with CIA. You're going to have to, there's a lot of things that you're going to have to follow into in order to make a huge platform.
Would you say that about a developed artist, or would you say that about any artist?
Oh, like you're just talking about in music in general?
Yeah, well, let's say music.
Yeah, you have to play ball. It's because I think of like, okay, let's just talk about if you want to be huge, if you want to be like a top 40s artist.
Yeah.
Labels kind of dictate what you put out, you know, because they want to. Let's forget the artistry. That sounds fucked up, but fuck the artistry.
No, because at that point, if you want to be that big, it's not about the artistry anymore. It's complete business.
Exactly. It's about selling records. And how do we sell records? And that's when they walk in with their corporate jizz and just like try to throw it all over your record. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what happens. But like, maybe there's those, you know, and then you have those artists that are like, I'm a real artist and I stick to artistry. Well, you're not going to be a top 40s artist. And if you do, it's just by a long shot, and you might do it, but it's very hard.
Well, I think at that point, I think you should adapt those principles, those business savvy principles that you learn when you're assigned, let's say, assigned top 40 artist. You need to learn that. And if you want to remain indie and independent, which I think is now with the advent of the internet more possible, you know, you have artists like, you know, Lil Baby, for example, is still on it. He's his own label. You know, Gucci Mane kind of paved the way for that a lot.
Independent artists.
Migos, great. You know, that was the millennial example of that. So I think, regardless, I think that we're going to see, well, obviously we're in it right now, where we're seeing a lot more independent artists. We're seeing a lot more independent labels. And with the internet, with algorithms, people are, the playing field's leveled, and anyone can be a star now. But it's like, if you want longevity, well, you have to learn the things that the people already at the top have done, and then you don't have to sign to a label.
But you make a great point, is that this is the time for change. Like literally, like those golden eggs might actually be existent at this point. Like real artists that are true to themselves, that just have something about them. One, the talent, but two, is just kind of like, there's something about them. I can't deny it. I feel like those individuals can thrive right now and be independent. You know, like same thing with like Drake. Like people are like, oh, he's about to cut off from being mainstream and be independent. If he does that, it changes the whole game. The music industry, I really feel like it does go broke. Because
it does. I think they're realizing it now. I think they're scared and they're smartening up, and I think that's why a lot of the sliminess of the industry is now going to be moving to streaming platforms.
100%.
Like that's payola. Like you know. So while I think that, I don't know, to me, a big record label is, maybe they're able to give me $1 million up front, which is fantastic. But I also think that, you know, people are a lot smarter now. The hustlers are digital. And so we're going to see, I don't know. It's to me, it's smarter to just grind a little bit harder to do it on your own, but keep a little bit more of your sanity, your creativity, and your money. It
contradicts what I did say earlier. I did say, like, you do have to comply, but you are completely right. I am considering that, because that is an option, but you have to have it. That's just how it is, though. Like, you had to have it. You had to have the complete package. But if you're just like some artist that you're pasted together in some sense, and you're just trying to make it, you might have to do the complying. But you're right. Like, this is the age of like people controlling their masters to be independent and actually thrive in the industry. And it's a lovely thing, because I think about, like, okay, let's even talk about radio to TV shows to sitcoms on normal program TV, right? They don't compare to even podcasts today.
No. Yeah. Again, you know, it just goes to show the internet and being independent and having fun online, like, and following your passion, and it leads you to some really interesting.
Could you imagine the corporate people like, wait, so people actually like real emotions? People like real feelings? People like real individuals?
It's funny because it's like everything's digital now, right? But I think also it's gotten a lot more personal. You know, like people aren't afraid to be vulnerable and be a little bit more emotional and expressive of themselves and a lot more creative, because also too, I mean, we're living in a visual world. Like, without, you know, this Instagram era has transformed a lot of cultural standards. It's transformed beauty standards. It's transformed, a lot of how we operate in life now. Instagram is like this business storefront. It's like, it's all digital, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like there's an equal and opposite reaction. So people, sure, maybe moving digitally, but I think that they want to feel, and they want to feel things that are real, and they want to feel a human connection, online. And I think that's why also, about Clubhouse, the the audio chat room app. I was talking about it, and that app is doing pretty well, and I think it's because of that new kind of way of communicating, which is people want to hear someone's voice in real time. They want to know that there's another human being on the other line,
right?
So yes, it's we're digital, but we're also more connected, and I think we're a lot more we're moving in a direction where we want to feel something real. So I think we've moved past like Facebook and Twitter. I'm like kind of afraid to say it, but Facebook at some point, Facebook is going to rule the world for a little while longer. But like
until the old people die off.
Until the old people. And it's fucked because it's true, because now like Facebook is like boomer planet. It's boomer meat.
Oh yeah.
I'm
just thinking about my mother right now. Like it's fucked up, but
dude, my grandparents are on there, and I'm like, I'm kind of scared because I don't know what they're looking at. And like I'm an internet veteran. Like they just got online.
Right.
So I'm like, I get so scared. I'm like, man, I hope they don't find like something like terrifying online, because I know I've seen a lot of terrifying shit on the web.
100%.
Like, I've seen a couple videos I shouldn't see. There's a couple links that are purple. But
I'm thinking about that right now. It's like they've had to run into it, but maybe it's not
Facebook algorithm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Them?
It takes care of them. That's what I was thinking. Like my mom's probably the most she's gonna see is like miniature poodles or something, like or like prank videos. But they're sweet.
Yeah, but they're sweet. She's okay. So she's just like algorithed in the wholesome part of Facebook. Okay,
exactly.
I get scared. The Mexican people, my family, we can be very morbid and like be like kind of all into like, I want to read about tragedies and deaths and
witchcraft
and well, no, they don't like witchcraft, but maybe for some, yeah. And so I'm like, oh man, I just want to protect my grandparents from the weirdos of the internet.
Yeah.
When I hear things about like old people getting scammed online, I get so sad. Because it's like, I feel bad for them, because it's like that part of the brain probably didn't develop because they weren't born into a digital era,
Oh, yeah.
So they've all prayed to that.
Yeah, I mean, just think about the threads that you get, like from your grandparents or your parents. It's just kind of like, watch out, there's gonna be a letter on your car, and if you get it, somebody's gonna pop out and rob you,
dude.
Like,
and it'll be like a super compressed JPEG image.
Yeah,
it'll be like so dusty.
And then if you don't pass it to 10 more people, you're gonna go to hell.
And it's in all caps too. Like the text is in all caps.
It's like, who deep fries these images on purpose?
Who deep fries the abuela propaganda? That's what I call it, abuela propaganda.
That is what it is.
Yeah, like it's like something so outlandish and so like, man, come on, grandma. Like, that, but she really believes it. That's the scary part.
Okay, I have a question for you. I asked my friend Trill, who was on the podcast recently, since we're talking about this, It's like, what's more dangerous? Your children online or your children outside?
My children online. A little bit, to be honest.
Because we talked about the whole, like, everybody's scared of your kids getting kidnapped. That's like, it's like as time progressed, it seemed like that gets scarier and scarier now. Like, I even think about my 12-year-old. Like, it's like, yeah. I was outside at 8 or 9 by myself and walking far distances. I don't know why I can't fathom the thought of my daughter doing it. But it's like, where did that come from, where we're so fearful that like we got to protect our kids from outside, but we just kind of like, we're kind of loose when it comes to being online? Because
it's an entertainment for the kids, and for a moment, you're probably not even thinking about it because you're like, damn, my kid's finally shutting the hell up.
And we don't even think at like what cost.
But at what cost? And it's like, I don't know. If I have kids, I would love to. I don't want to be a helicopter parent when it comes to them online, but I definitely want to be like, hey, we need to talk. about scams and weirdos and whatever, and then just be safe and don't use my credit card online.
Do the best you can to instill those values.
Yeah, because I think when you know, and this goes for, I don't know, I don't have a kid, obviously, but I think like when it comes to teaching someone, when you keep them from it completely, they're going to run to it as quick as they can whenever your back is turned. So it's just better to be honest. And if it exists, you know, here are ways to deal with this problem. Should it come up when you shelter someone, you know, you like stop that learning lesson from happening completely.
Right.
And that's dangerous.
Well, let's run through a scenario. Let's run through a fake scenario. Okay. So like your 10-year-old son, make up a name for him. Go ahead. I'm sure you've thought of one in your life. Pablo. From Zoom.
Oh my.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel Jackson. So Samuel Jackson, you happen to go through his phone.
Yeah.
You look at his history.
Okay.
He looks up anal or hentai.
Okay, that sounds like my kid.
So like.
So he looks up anal hentai.
What's the reaction? What's the conversation? How does that go?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay. Well,
I'm just like getting ideas because I might run into that with my daughter. So let me go ahead and hear it now.
As someone that grew up online, I probably saw some variation of hentai anal,
both together
online, you know, mysteriously, or I'm sorry, I should say like surprisingly, like out of my control. You see some things online. But if I saw that, I would think, okay, well, I don't want to embarrass them, but like I would probably talk about, hey, so I'd probably be like really funny about it.
So hentai
like,
anal, eh?
I'd probably do something like that. I'd be like, hentai anal, huh? All right, I just want to know why. You know, I'm not mad at you. You're gonna like what you like, right? But just like were you molested by an octopus doll and I didn't know about it? I mean, that's a cause for concern. I'm like, oh shit, where was I when that happened?
It's a hell of a story.
No, but oh my god, that is such a terrible joke to me.
That's just funny. Then you try to cancel yourself. I'm just kidding.
I am not making jokes about.
I don't think anybody's had that situation.
No,
so it's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. But if you are, you know,
we sympathize.
I'll send you my therapist's number.
I love octopus.
Oh, dude,
it's my favorite animal.
Octopus tacos. What?
It's fucked up. I love octopus and I love eating them too.
You are what you eat.
What is Adrian?
You heard octopus.
Chihuahua.
I love Chihuahua.
Okay, going back, I would probably tell, hey, Samuel L. Jackson, I saw you were looking at anal hentai. I just want you to know that
that shit's fire.
That shit's fire, dude.
Like, send me some links next time.
Like, you know, you can always be honest with me, pal. But
it's I guess it's one of those things. When you run into it, you'll know.
You'll know.
Because for myself, if somebody asks me, I don't know, like, I guess I have to run into the situation. I don't want to.
I'm not gonna whoop my kid's ass for
kicking my own ass.
I'm kicking my own ass. I wouldn't whoop my kid's ass for something like that. I think that's something that you talk about. I don't know. I don't know. I feel strange about corporal punishment, you know, with kids.
Yeah. No, me too. I haven't had to put my hand on my daughter. I hope I never have to. And I don't know, man. Like, I know people, especially the generation before me, were always against like being best friends with your kids. But I feel like me and my daughter, like, she comes to me for everything, even if it's super personal. You know, like, I buy my daughter's pads ever since she started her period. Like, I'm the person she goes to for everything. She probably hates that I'm talking about this right now.
No, she'll be fine.
Yeah, but it's like,
the end of the world.
To me, it's important. Like, when you get after your kids, tell them why. Like, why not? Like, explain to them what the issue is.
I think that's the best way that I learn is like, I already have a problem with authority. Yeah. That's kind of I wouldn't say problem with authority. I definitely am not afraid to bite back sometimes when I probably should just be quiet. But I think that, you can prevent those kind of things by just explaining why. Like, if someone tells me to do something, sure, depending, I will do it.
Yeah.
But, like, I want to know why. Like, why is this how you're supposed to do it? I'm a why person. I don't just, like, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Ooh. I'm like, wait. Why are we doing this?
That's me too.
Yeah. And there's
That's me
nothing
too.
wrong with that.
And it's weird though. A lot of people have problems with individuals like that. I'm like, why? Again.
I think for some people it's just
Ironically.
annoying. It's just, it's like, what do you mean what you're asking? Some people are just naturally a lot more authoritative, and I would I would rather be rational and be like,
Right.
This is why you're supposed to do this. What you just did was this, and it was wrong because it doesn't achieve this ending result. How do you get that? There's different ways of doing that.
Right.
But what you did was very dumb and wrong.
I remember the first job I ever got. I think it was 18, and it was an optical lab. It was a warehouse, and they had these $1 million machines, and it was like a whole assembly line. So my job was to take care of these machines, and I remember I was like, okay, so when the light turns red, you run here and you run around. Already in my head, this is just the way I am. I'm analytical. I see like an easier way to do something.
Yeah, that's a survival skill.
Yeah, and I was like, why do y'all do it like this?
Yeah.
They're like, because they told us to. Like,
as my mom say, lo están haciendo a lo puro pendejo.
and there's people at that job that talk like that too. But for some reason,
Yeah.
they listen to authority, and like the rules say do this, so this is how you have to do it.
Right.
And I was never one of those kids. Like, I hated the because I said so. Like, yeah, fuck that shit. Because it's like,
well,
I
why?
don't learn a lesson from this. I just know that you're a fucking cunt for telling me no. You know what I mean?
All I learned is that you're an asshole. That's all I learned from that because I said so. Oh, I want to know why you said that. Oh my God. Oof. I'm getting triggered.
Yeah,
I'm getting
the triggers.
triggered. Hold on. My PTSD's coming back. I'm getting triggered. I want to know why. I want to know why. Blah, 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 blah. Ugh.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, I think of that. I think of like, of course, I'm sure you've seen Matilda, right? The movie Matilda.
I'm not going to sit here and lie to you.
You didn't. Okay.
I'm
How old are you?
not.
Oh my!
I'm 24.
That's forgivable.
Yeah.
I'm 31.
I just don't watch. Honestly, I don't watch a lot of movies. I think I just watch gangster films over and over again. That's really it.
Ever since you were like 3.
Yeah.
Goodfellas.
I think we talked about this on the first podcast I did. Yeah. I think I watched Goodfellas. I grew up watching Scarface. Let's see. My uncle had all of the Godfather movies, so that was something that would kind of go on.
Hentai.
Hentai. Oh my God, no.
Ain't no Goodfellas.
I am not clicking that link. I mean, actually, honestly, I am. I'm not going to bullshit you. Are you kidding me? That's amazing.
Can they make a gay mobster movie?
You know what? They should. They probably already have like a gay film version of Goodfellas. And there's so many names you can do with that. You can do like Gooch Fellas.
Yeah.
Good fellatio.
Good fellatio.
There's so many good ways.
But can you imagine, like, come on, put it in my ass. Like, this fucking guy. Look at Donnie.
I ain't gonna whack you. You're gonna whack me.
Go for a nice hot dog right now. That's odd. You know what? You never see that.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Or if someone has a link, please send it over for research purposes.
Yeah.
I'm
or
trying
hentai.
Or hentai. Dude, I love Japan. So anything that they do, I love. So if hot, anime chicks are what we're looking at, I'm gonna admire that because that's an art form.
Japan is on fire right now. The culture is super on fire. No, you're right. You're right. But I guess for it to be like a household name at this point, it's like.
Are you calling the country of Japan a household name? I'm
not gonna lie, I kind of am. Come on, I feel like every country does that to each other. Like American culture is
That's
like
incredible.
a household name. It's a household name to people.
Oh, okay. It's globalized. It's like,
yes, it's like how NSYNC or Britney Spears was at one point too. Like every other country, like they didn't understand the language, they just liked the melodies and the good music. And I feel like K-pop music has just gone so popularized that like these are household names now.
yeah.
Like the bands. That's what I mean. Yeah, I'm not trying to say like, oh, Japan's finally in our home. I'm not
I
saying
was
that.
like,
No.
hey man, I don't know if you know about this. I think people know about Japan. There was kind of 2 world wars.
Nah,
I
I'm
don't
talking
know
about
if you're familiar.
I'm talking about like the culture,
Yeah,
the
no, I know what you mean.
music, the food.
I know.
My daughter's heavy into Japanese culture.
Yeah, man, it fucking rules.
Yeah.
It rules, and I think it's amazing to go into other places in the world, come back home, and then be like, wow, Americans have no culture. Like it fucking sucks. Whereas like Japan is like a creative culture in general, where they take art so seriously that like literally anything you can think of in Japan, you can become a master of it. So like if you're a sushi chef, you can become a master. If you're into woodcutting, you become a master. There's like craft, like arts are seen as mastery and as of skill, and they're regarded as such.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because historically Japan's export has been art.
Yeah.
Even back in like the feudal times when you'd have like wood blocks, woodblock paintings, or the what are those called? The dividers, the Japanese dividers, like room dividers.
Yeah.
That, and then there was that lull after the World War, but Japan picked back up in the 70s. They're like, you know what? We got something really cool. We
But
can export this anime.
This might get dark.
Hold on. No,
okay.
this might get dark because
you too. Okay.
Oh, I'm about to get dark. The Japanese regard like visuals so much that even the attack on Pearl Harbor was aesthetically kind of popping.
It was fire.
Hold on, it was kind of. I'm so sorry. All right, so before y'all cancel me, right? So the Japanese.
That was lit.
Hold on.
Yo, did you see that play?
That attack was fire. No, honestly.
Hold on, no. Listen, sorry. Listen.
I see what you're going. I see where you're going. Like, yeah, go ahead. Like you're not wrong. You're not steering in the wrong direction.
No.
I get what you're trying to say.
So the attack on Pearl Harbor, if I recall correctly, the Japanese, I think it was revenge for something that had happened. You know how war is, and the Japanese were so furious that they were like, I think that was the first time that the use of kamikazes happened. But they knew that American sailors were going to be stationed on that shore, and that they were going to be, are they called? Yeah, sailors in those boats in front of the docks, and that they knew that their friends and family would be on those docks. Because they some of them would live there, like on base with them, right? So in the early hours of the morning, I think as the sun is like rising, the Japanese attack Pearl Harbor, and it's like poetically kind of, it's poetic. It's like fucked up that I'm saying that, but because
if we were on the other side of the spectrum, we wouldn't see it as something.
Oh no,
terrible.
We'd be making racist cartoons, which we also did that.
Exactly.
But so in the early hours of the morning, and they knew also that the sailors were partying the night before, so they knew that they were going to be sleeping in and sleeping heavy.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, they struck in the early mornings as the sun was rising, and the sun is rising, and the families are watching these ships on fire and blow up and explode, but it looks picturesque, which is like fucked up, but they planned that. That was all planned.
I think one of the planes had a Supreme sticker on it.
No,
no, but
are you hyping Pearl Harbor, bro?
No.
I literally said Pearl Harbor was.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying,
but
because
it was poetic.
even the visuals on like the film, like, which was a terrible movie, but like the way it looked, even their ships, even like the way the attack was planned, it was almost like they are artistic.
They are
in a sense.
It was, think about it. You have, because the sun is rising. So these, what the families and the survivors are seeing, or I guess they want to be survivors, they were on shore. But what the family is seeing is these silhouettes, and the silhouettes on fire because the sun is in the back.
Right.
And it's orange and it's yellow.
If that was just a random painting, not based on an event, that would be a beautiful painting.
Yeah, that would. Like it
but
would be
since it
aesthetically
is,
pleasing.
we do gotta be. We gotta be sorry for the people that lost their lives, and the fact that war is terrible. You know, like.
Well, this is the reality is though. War will always exist. That's what's fucked up is that the war will always exist and it's all stupid either way. The reason I feel bad for making a joke is that, yes, people did die. And it was horrible and it was tragic. And you know how we responded? I mean, we responded by getting some of the greatest scientists in the world because we had the money, we had the means, and we fucking dropped bombs on their country unannounced, affecting generations of people.
That's where I was going to get to, or where I said it was going to get dark. I was going to say that, like, because of how unique the culture, like the Japanese culture is, I kind of feel like that situation is what created that. And like, it's going to go to the point of, because Hiroshima dropping the atomic bomb, radiation, affecting people's genetics, affecting people's DNA, I kind of feel like that impacted culture.
Absolutely.
It created a new culture. It created a new way of thinking, which it sounds ugly and disgusting, but I really do believe that. I really feel like something happened from when that occurred till this point right now. When you think of Japanese culture, and I'm not saying that's a positive thing or a great thing. What I'm saying is, like, no, that literally changed history. Like, not just the fact of, like, oh, a war started and ended and we're peaceful now between each other, but it's even like, no, it affected, like, their culture. It affected,
It affected their culture and it affected generations, and it was really an absolute, like, it was an atrocity. I don't think in war anything's ever justifiable because, each side has a reason for it's a series of retaliation for what they believe in. And I mean, it's unfortunate, but there's no winner in war. You know,
it's a dick measuring contest at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think nationalism is a disease.
Yeah.
It's we have no right to go over and destroy people's ways of living because we don't agree with it.
I agree with you on that. I had this discussion recently, and I'm not going to get too political on this, but it was just like, regardless of who's in power, Republican, Democrat, the fact that, like, we go to other countries, the fact that, like, casualties of war is actually a conversation where, like, we can send a drone somewhere, and this is not just, like, Trump in office. This is anybody before him. It's like, literally, to take one life away, we would sacrifice 50, and out of those 49, they're just civilians. But we would give them another title to make it seem like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But if it was, like, our family members on this end, you get what I mean? Like, I don't feel like we need to curate the rest of the world, you know?
We don't need to curate the world's vibes.
Real shit. But, like, to me,
the U.S. is the curator of imperialist vibes.
That's how I see it. That's how I see them. It's like, oh, they don't fuck with our vibes. We're ruining our vibes.
It's dumb. I wish we could just have no nationalism, just vibes.
This might be controversial, but I just want to. I just say that some countries, as much as some people don't agree with communism or anything like that, some countries need a leader like that because the environment, because of their conditions and their history, they need people to keep them in line sometimes, because we have different ways of viewing the world and how we treat each other. But if we, like, go to another country and try to influence when that's not the way they've lived life, it's gonna cause chaos.
Yeah,
it's gonna cause a vacuum once we remove their leader.
It's transitioning extremes,
Yeah.
Like, people it's not fair to everyone. There's no one size fits all way of government. I think there's some really awesome things about capitalism, but I also think there's a lot of shitty things about capitalism. I think communism is good in theory, and there's a lot of eventual failure that happens in countries that go to completely communist. There's a lot of like more socialistic countries are. I think those are the best, to be honest. But there's holes in everything. So I think like instead of trying to find one extreme to go from one extreme to another, I think you have to pull from different sectors of or different forms of government in order to achieve the best result, which is something that pulls a little bit from everyone uniquely. And you know what, leftist Dallas is going to get mad at me for that statement, but it is what it is.
No, I mean it's whatever. To me, I'm just in the middle. Like I just feel what I believe is what I believe, but I can't pick a team. I just can't. Like I can't pick a team.
I would describe myself as very socially aware, but for the most part pretty apolitical. Because it's funny because, so a couple years ago I found out that who my real grandfather was on my dad's side. And I had never known who he was. In fact, it was told to my father and I and everyone else that he was dead. But the reality is he was I think at the time, 88, and still alive, living in Miami, and was an Air Force general for Nicaragua during the Cold War in the 70s. And I remember thinking, and I did my research. I was like, what? This is weird. I would see him in documents with like John F. Kennedy and stuff. And it was just kind of like, oh, wow, this is really a guy that's, obviously he loves his country and he loves, he's probably like super nationalistic and all this. So when I went to meet him, I was kind of gearing up to meet with someone that, was probably going to be, maybe he was a Trump supporter, maybe it was this. And I was just like, damn, like it's fun. So I go and I meet him, and he tells me, he's just like, this was someone, he lived through history where he's in these documents, right, that from the U.S. government that say, here are the list of Nicaraguan commanders whose properties we're going to save from anything. My grandfather was listed in that. He told me, he was like, I lost all of my property. I lost my ranches. I lost this and I lost that, even though I was promised that they would be kept. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God. So he's someone that's not only contributed to history, but literally lived it. And I asked him, eventually we got to the conversation where I was just like, all right, so like, what do you believe in? He's like, every area of the government is bad. They're all bad. Doesn't matter. Like, which is kind of like cynical, but also like, well, then you take into account, like, at a certain point in politics, you get it so into that bubble, right? Where it's not about your constituents anymore. It's about, how do I stay and remain in power? Who do I need to talk to? What decisions do I need to make? You stop caring about the people because you're so removed from it. But it really, like I was saying, like it really gave me some good appreciation for my grandfather for, everything that he lived through. But also it made me think, like, I am very staunch in what I believe in, but also at the same time, I need to also be realistic and understand that the people in power, like, some of them don't think like that. A lot of them are very, like, loyal to their parties. They're going to do whatever it takes to, like, remain in power, get reelected, grease whoever's palms to get reelected, make sure that their team, Republican or Democrat, doesn't lose. And it's just like, nothing's moving and you guys all suck. Like,
because you remove yourself from us,
right? Like
we're the scale that people lose touch with after some time.
Exactly, and we're the ones that get affected by things.
Yes.
But look, I can probably find something dumb to say about every single politician, regardless, like bipartisanly. However, I will say, when AOC runs for president, I'm in that hoe. I'm voting. I really like her. I think she's fabulous, and I think, like, with tech and the current political structure, I think we're going to see a lot more. I wouldn't call them this, but I'm predicting it, that they'll be like social media politicians, people that build platforms online like AOC did, and get elected into office. And it's like, once these boomers are out, tech is going to rule.
Yeah, I'm with that party. You know what I mean? 100%. Yeah,
100%. And we're gonna definitely see a shift then, but it's gonna take a lot of. I don't think it's gonna change for another 20 years.
I mean, that's one thing we probably could credit Trump a little bit on, and I don't even like give him credit for anything, but I'm just saying that like he stayed social media heavy. Not that he did anything positive with it, or like it's kind of annoying, but
yeah. I think he showed us, this new era of politics, which is outlandish, and it's like watching a reality show. But that's really what it is, because we're living in the social media age where we have a short attention span and we like stimulation and overstimulation. And to be quite honest, I will give Trump credit for making politics, unfortunately, watchable, because it was like watching a drama. It was like he has no idea, but like we're watching this like fall in America, but it's also it was necessary, because like this just exposes the byproduct of all the bullshit that we've been projecting into the world and into ourselves. So Trump, someone told me, they were like, everyone needs to get a chance to get represented, and Trump getting elected was just, the idiots needed representation too.
Yeah. And if anything, like unknowingly, he put the future in the new generation's hands.
Yeah, because we're so affected by it that we're just like, we have no choice but to participate in politics and be informed, because can you believe that this is happening? No.
We needed something drastic, and that's fucked up. But it's like in every life, I think even in our stages of life, I talked to this about a few times already, and one of them were my really good friends, the humbling experience, because I listen to Mike Tyson, and I love Mike Tyson. Like he's like my hero, because I've seen the stages of evolution he's been through. But anyway, like he talks about humble, the term humble, because somebody told him, man, Mike, you've always been humble. He's like, no, like people aren't born humble.
No,
you're born to be humbled. And like in your lifetime, you will run into experiences where like you'll be humbled.
Absolutely. I feel like I it's funny. I almost wanted to cancel on this podcast because I had such a week where I was like, I don't even think I'm emotionally prepared to even do anything other than like the bare minimum this week, because I just had such a week that humbled me. I've been in pretty good spirits this whole year, and just with everything in the news, and I think working in media now, or working in press now, and reading things and getting affected by, day-to-day stuff, like eventually you have a week where it all just sandwiches, and it's like, oh my God, I was laughing and giggling, a couple weeks ago, and now I'm like, I can't even smile, because I'm just so like, I've been humbled by just moments that have let me know, hey, you should be glad to be alive, or you should be thankful for your health, or you should, be thankful that you have your loved ones around you that you can call. And it's like, when all of that is impacted in 1 week, it's like, oh my God, I thought I was on top of the world. And it's all perspective, but I'm like, I feel like I got knocked down a couple, notches back down to reality. Like, hey, like you can, again, it goes back to what we were talking about. It's like gratitude.
Yeah.
And I remember this past weekend, I was like, oh my God, I am so excited to be home and safe and in my house with all the things that I love. Like the smallest things, the things that I would take for granted. I feel like people take their house and their space for granted because you live there, and it's like, oh, it'll always be there. But it's like, I was just so fortunate to just have that slice again. And then, I went and hung out with my boyfriend, and I told him, I was like, I have never been so happy to be on your kitchen island, eating pizza with sriracha, and just hanging out with you, and not thinking about work, and not thinking about
hentai's playing in the background.
The hentai is playing in the background. It's funny. He loves Japanese culture too. So I'm pretty sure at some point there'll probably be hentai.
That conversation will come up soon. No, but
just to dissect it.
You're totally right. You're totally right. And these humbling experiences are so necessary, even though sometimes they can be harsh and almost feel like life is not worth living.
Yeah.
But these humbling experiences, like when they slap you in the face and you get your dose of reality, you'll learn to pay gratitude. And if you don't, you will eventually.
Yeah, I think like last year was probably a really huge humbling year for me, because it was a year where it was like, now looking back at it, I'm like, oh my God, like how could I ever have spent so much time with people that aren't concerned for me harnessing my talents or even like my health, or just like being so far removed from my passion because the person I'm hanging out with kind of secretly won't admit that he doesn't like when I'm illustrating or when I'm doing the things that I love, because there's some hater gene going off, you know?
Yeah, that's the worst.
And that's really sad. But it made me so much grateful to now be where I'm at now, where I can genuinely say, like, I get to choose the people I want to spend time with now. I'm not dependent on, well, I got to hang out with them because this part of it, overlaps with my job. And, it's like, I'm happy to be around people that value me, value my time, value my talents, encourage me to be better, keep me sharp by like sending me, material that they think I would like. And it in turn, like, I'm just like, oh, wow, you were thinking of me. And yeah, this actually helps me. This inspires me. Like, oh, you're looking out for me. Versus before where like, I was like, how could I have been so far removed from what I love?
Oh man, it's the worst.
It's the worst. I think that's the closest to hell that I think I've ever been, was to be removed from the things that I cared the most about. And that was, my sense of self, my passion, just being away from creative things, like whatever. Like, I think this year I was fortunate again to hang around a partner that is also creative, but not in my realm, and still keeps me sharp because our interests overlap. And it's like, I'm able to produce better work. I'm able to, constantly be stimulated in a way that translates and benefits my craft and what I do. And I think that's really important. I think like, it's not about being around people that are exactly like you. I think it's just being around people that accept who you are and, add to that, contribute to that, that sense of self, and in turn they're themselves, and you bring, the good out of them because you genuinely care about them.
Yes.
So,
that's how you create the better version of yourself.
Yes.
And it's not even your creation. It's kind of, well, partly it is because it's your choice to be around the people you do.
Absolutely.
And make those choices. But you got to go through some humbling experiences.
Yes.
And I think like even myself for right now, I think at this point in my life, I've reached it there. Like I've found the better version of myself. And it's only because, like you said, it's your environment. It's who you're around. If they motivate you, like I'm looking at Adrian because he's all right. But like,
oh, but that's good.
You get what I mean? Like it's very important. It's very important.
And it goes back to time being so precious that's the one thing you never get back. I feel like now that I've lived nearly a quarter century, I now have a chunk of my life that I can actually look back on and be like, okay, like I was like, damn, I was 18. I was so young. I was so hot. Like, man, what I would do to have that energy and that metabolism again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, I'm really fortunate to also still be here. And all I can do is just be the best version of myself all the time.
I'm glad you say that. I'm glad you say that because I hear a lot of people really scared to get old. And I haven't felt that feeling yet. And but for me, myself, it's just because like I'm always accepting of what life throws at me. That's just me though. Like someone I love dies, as sad as I will be, I can accept it because like it's a part of my life. And getting old is part of it. Deterioration, expiration is part of you getting old.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm excited because I'm excited. I want to have gray hair. I am excited to have a beautiful full set of silver hair.
Silver's fire. I'm kind of like I'm getting there. Kind of. I have some coming out, but like I don't know what I'm gonna look like. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I ain't gonna dye it. But
no, don't dye it. Like, I found 6 great hairs in the back of my head, like in one patch, and I was like, God, yes, it's happening. Fuck yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing.
I don't know. Not a lot of people have that reaction. That's good though.
I think it's sexy. It's funny because I think I don't know. A lot of my partners have been, not a lot of my partners, but like a significant amount, which has not been many.
I know it's like let me clean that
yeah,
up.
I was like gonna say like a 2 out of 3 have always said they're like, yeah, I've been gray since high school, and it's like, wow,
you're white.
Hot. Like you're so lucky. I love that though, but I like imperfect. I don't know. Your partner can't be too. There's got to be some character there.
Yeah, there's got to be some kinks and dings on you. Like you can't be too perfect. No, I feel you.
Weird. I think it's weird. It's like, oh, you have right here. You have this,
I think
this
of being
scar right
perfect or perfect in the eyes of your peers. I think the danger in that is just because you get treated differently, and you almost grow up like a spoiled kid, like that gets everything they want. Because I knew girls in high school that were, they were physically blessed. Like they were born with a good roll of the dice and very beautiful, great in shape, and you know what I mean.
Just naturally.
Yeah, in great shape. So, people treated them different. They got a lot of perks in life just for looking the way they did.
It's funny because I definitely felt like I was an ugly duckling for you know what, I probably in some way still am, because I always think I'm improving.
Stop.
No. Oh, no. I mean, no, I think I look fabulous. I think I look great. Don't get it twisted.
Okay.
But I also think that I don't know, self-improvement is necessary. And I think that whenever you're not blessed with a natural genetic lottery, if you're a little dorky and awkward and maybe chubby, or in my case, you have a birth defect or things like that.
Adrian. I'm just kidding. I need to stop doing that to him.
Oh my God. You learn to channel your beauty in other ways. And like for me, I knew that I didn't look like everybody else and that I had to be good at something else. So it was like, all right, well, I can draw and I write pretty good stories and I can make people laugh. So I think I'm just going to do that and, just be myself, because I can't, if I'm not going to be hot, I can at least be authentic.
Yeah.
And I think that's character building. The most interesting people I've ever met, and this isn't a blanket statement, so don't come for me, but some of the most interesting people I've met are all like, yeah, I was chubby, or, I was, something that they couldn't control made them who they are. And like, look, don't hit me. Like, I love to talk shit. I love it. I think it's fun. And I love to roast, but that's not something I do a lot of. Because, I don't like roasting on people for things that they can't change. I'll roast on someone for being a piece of shit. That is, I love dunking on assholes. But
we're a lot alike, by the way. I literally just said this to somebody recently. So go ahead. But
but I could never find it in me to bully someone over something they can't change, because, I think that's really unfair. You don't get to choose those things, but you get to choose to be an asshole. And I'm going to tell you something if it affects me or people I love. So, but I try to, if I do have to be, what's the word? Insult anyone. I never like to do anything direct. To me, it's a little more fun to, be kind, or give one of those roasts, quote unquote, that are like psychological.
Oh yeah. They dig in your psyche.
I know that sounds really sinister, but like, I'm never going to take a cheap shot at someone for how they look, but I'm going to be like, I think you're a hater because you wish that you could XYZ. And then it's like, you're actually right. Yeah, because your saltiness or your envy comes from your own self-projections that you want for yourself. So like if I have, people, I've had this, I don't want to say online stalker, but I've had someone or something around here make various Twitter accounts, and like it was weird. Like for like a month, like it would be like they would reply to one of my tweets, and then they would like say something specific and rude. And you know what? Honestly, now that I'm saying this out loud, now this shit's kind of crazy. But it hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah.
And like I genuinely feel though for people like that don't have the confidence to just enjoy themselves to the point where they don't have to worry about making anonymous accounts to talk shit to someone. It's like at the end of the day, like, you need me more than I need you.
Yes.
You know, I'm not gonna think about you. Like, to me, being a hater is just not a part of me. Like, I can't find it in myself to hate on someone, because I feel like if I feel that feeling of envy, it's because I'm like, all right, why am I upset about this? Oh, because it's something that I secretly want for myself. And it's like, I turn that into, how can I get that for myself? You know, I always congratulate people. Like, always congratulate people, give them their flowers, like, because I genuinely, like, I can't hate on other people's talents, you know? Like, I have my own, they have their own, they do what they do, I do what I do. I just need to make sure that, like, I'm just being the best I can be, because if you're being the best, you're not worried about anyone else.
Yeah.
You don't need to be.
Yeah, I agree. Hate consumes too much energy and time. Like,
I don't got time for that, bro.
Exactly. Like, if I'm gonna invest time in hate, like, I really could be doing something really productive.
And it's just not a way to live, you know? It's like, I don't know. It's better to me, I like peace. Yeah. You know, anger is something I don't experience a lot of, surprisingly, because I don't feel, it's a very intense emotion that can be prevented through just being rational and sometimes just focusing your energy on being kind and focusing on what you're doing. So, what was I saying? I don't know.
Focusing your energy on positive stuff.
Focusing your energy on positive stuff.
That is a great way to wrap things up. We actually are past the hour mark. This is really great, though. This is really good. I gotta have you back on. Like, thank you for coming. And I know the scheduling just been weird between us two, but it was Instagram, and you know how that goes.
But no, I'd love to come by anytime. You guys are incredible, Adrian. You know, AZ. Like, you guys are. Right. I appreciate you guys like spending some time with me and talking to me, and this was really a lot of fun. It was very cathartic.
Definitely. I'm glad that we could sit down and talk about this, and if it brightened up somebody's day, I feel good about it. You know.
Yeah, and I'm happy to come back anytime. So.
Alrighty, guys. Well, thank y'all for listening. We love y'all for listening. And yeah.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.